Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Side Hustle Seattle. In today's video, I actually want to share with you one of my favorite ways that I earn additional income, and that's just through sharing knowledge that I gained throughout my career. And so if you've spent years gaining all of this experience within an industry, that experience doesn't necessarily have to go to waste if you leave a company, if you leave an industry, or if you even retire. There's actually companies out there that'll pay you to share what you already know. And this is something that I've been doing for a couple of years now. So in today's video, I want to share with you how it works, what companies I've personally used, and how you can get started as well. So let's get into it. Okay, so think about it. You've spent years, maybe even decades, learning the ins and outs of an industry. And once you leave it, it can sometimes feel like that kind of just disappears. Like there's no other value for that knowledge that you've learned if you're no longer kind of in that industry or doing that kind of job. But that's where expert networks and platforms actually come into place. So these companies will connect professionals like you and me with other companies that are looking to gain the ins and outs of an industry that you have experience in. Now, I'm sure everybody's experience is a little bit different, but here's how it usually goes for me. So, most of the time, these companies find me on LinkedIn based on my background, and then they'll just shoot me an email based on the email that's tied to my LinkedIn account. And so they'll reach out with a project usually, and it's like a quick call or series of questions just to make sure I'm a good fit. They'll share more about what the project is about. We'll discuss the rate. And so oftentimes they let you pick your rate, but they do have like parameters on what they're willing to pay. And then they'll send all of my information to the company that's looking to gain more knowledge, and then we'll see if we're a fit. And if I agree, we set up a time. Usually the calls are like 30 to 60 minutes with whatever company is looking to gain the knowledge, and then I get compensated. So really it's just as simple as that. Now, one thing that's actually really interesting about these companies is they prefer to actually talk to people who used to be in the industries that they're seeking knowledge for, and less for people who are actively in the industry. And I think it's just because it avoids like a conflict of interest, right? You don't want to reach out to somebody who's working for a direct competitor of you. So I get reached out a lot about careers that I used to have. I spent almost a decade in the rideshare industry. So I know a lot about the gig economy space. I know a lot about rideshare mobility. So I get a lot of messages about that. But I also get a ton of messages about automotive repair. Not because I'm a mechanic or even like mechanically inclined at all, but the rideshare company that I worked for dabbled in like automotive repair, specifically collision repair, while I was still there. So I have a wealth of knowledge that's kind of come from that. So that's a lot of what I get reached out to about. Now let's get something clear. You're going to sign an NDA or a non-disclosure agreement before you participate, because of course these are, some of them are smaller companies, but a lot of them are bigger companies that you're going to be talking with. And you don't share any like confidential information about your past employers. Remember, you sign an NDA with most of the companies you work with as well. So it's not about like giving away trade secrets or breaking trust. You're simply just giving high level insights, best practices, and perspectives that companies can learn from. So I like to think of it a lot as like you're kind of like a guide, right? So it's not that you're spilling information, it's more about teaching somebody how an industry works, things to look out for, what are the challenges, especially with things like expansion, how things should be set up operationally. Those are all the kind of things that I discuss with companies. Okay, so what exactly are the companies? I'm sure there's many out there, but I'll just let you know the ones I either have worked with or I personally know of. So the ones I mainly go with are expert networks, although there are some expert platforms as well. So let's just touch on expert networks. So for expert networks, it's sites like Alpha Insights and GLG Insights. So these companies connect professionals with businesses that want advice, and you'll usually get an email about a project, then hop on a call to see if it's a good fit. And sometimes it's one call, sometimes it's a series, but either way, you're compensated for your time after there's a match with that company. And then you have like on demand, more like question and answer platforms like JustAnswer. Now, this one's a little bit different. So instead of scheduling consulting calls, you're answering questions people submit on demand. And if you have an expertise in an area, you can jump in, provide value, and get paid per question or per session. And both models are great, and you don't have to wait for them to find you. You can actually go and sign up with these networks directly, list your expertise, and start being considered for projects. Something to keep in mind, you're not always going to get picked for a project. Sometimes something comes across my inbox, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'd be a perfect fit for that. And then I don't get picked for it, and that's totally fine. This isn't about like making it a full-time job. This is just an extra way to earn a little bit of additional income. Honestly, I wish I knew about the side hustle sooner. And I still think it's crazy that people are willing to pay me to talk about something I like no longer do. And I'm nowhere close to the automotive industry anymore and probably will never be, quite frankly. But it's still cool to know that that has value. And so that's why I think that this is actually like the perfect side hustle for career professionals. You don't have to learn a brand new skill. You don't have to invest money up front, and you don't have to start a business from scratch. You're simply leveraging the knowledge you already have, knowledge you work really hard from, whether you're in tech, healthcare, finance, transportation, education. There's an expert network or platform that values what you know. So if you've ever felt like the knowledge that you've gained from an industry through your career is like no longer worth anything, I would think again, because there are some companies that are willing to pay for the information that you have. And obviously, certain industries are going to lend itself to more opportunities than others, but you might as well just sign up, reach out, and see what happens because you truly do never know. So, hopefully, you found value in this video. I'll go ahead and just link the companies below in the description, and I made a quick blog post if you want to check that out as well. But let me know if you've ever done these companies before, and let me know what your experience is. Anyways, thank you as always for watching my video. I'll catch you next one.